Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We have a list of 8 properties today. And before we get started, I wanted to put a plug in for the Milton buyer class. It's coming up next week. We talk about anything from new versus resale homes. By the way, I cringe when someone says that they're looking at new homes because there are pitfalls like crazy. For example, if you paid a certain price from a builder, and let's say the market changed, or let's say you just paid too much to the builder and it didn't appraise before you get the keys, you're responsible to make up that difference between the appraised value and the value you paid in cash, in addition to any down payment that you have. Things like that we talk about at the buyer class. We talk about all of the closing costs, all of the hidden costs, and even some of the benefits too. There are 3 different ways that first-time buyers can earn up to $10,000 or more of free government money. In fact, I've seen some people even close to $20,000 per person that can actually get that can happen from knowing these programs. So we look at real life home inspection slides, all kinds of really useful information. We've been doing this for probably 7 years now, so we know the questions, we know the things that people want to talk about, and we've built that into the class. So I hope you could join us. There's no cost to attend. Just bring a food bank donation. And you can go to miltonbuyerclass.com, or you can find it somewhere on the site here, depending on which device you're looking at. So let's get started with today's list. 695 McColl Court. There's no garage. It's a semi-detached. I mean, we've seen on a true pie-shaped lot, we saw a 540 sale earlier this year on Middleton. So pie shape, what that implies is that the backyard is bigger than the front. That's what it means. The front is the small part of the pie towards the middle, and then outside you've got the wider. Now, if you look at what this one actually is, 695, the house is on a wide lot, but then you have this tiny backyard that gets really tiny as you get further along, and that's what it looks like in the pictures. I think that we call that reverse pie. So I think pie shape is a little bit of false advertising. The home itself looks okay. I mean, for $425, there's just not much you can touch right now. Like, you're buying a 3-story, probably the same size as this one, with no backyard in the new area for this kind of price range. So I do think the value's there, even if the backyard has a bit of an odd shape. It's private. And it's a quiet court, so kids could play hockey, they could ride their bikes around. And how many homes are on this street? You figure, okay, so we've got maybe 25 homes on this street. That's pretty good. I mean, that's a great place for kids to hang out. And next up we have Cooper. This one's interesting because the Croft side actually has an arched entry right here. So they did some modifications on the outside of this one. It could have been wood, and then they just said, hey, forget it. Let's just do some siding here. It's a nice popular floor plan. They also took the railing off of this side here. I don't know, health and safety, how I feel about that. But anyway, changing the hood fan and the stove would have been a good idea, given that they have these 2 that have been replaced. It just creates a more complete look in the kitchen, and we've talked about before in Daily Homes that the kitchen is the most important room in the house to sell. And so anyway, we've got that is, I guess that's the master bathroom, which is normally a 3-piece. So they've modified and adjusted that. It looks like they almost made a little bit more space in there. And then you have the basement. So with the amount of stuff that they've put into this and the renovations they've done, I don't know why they wouldn't have just replaced that stove and the hood fan. You also have a massive wood structure here, which would actually probably feel pretty private because you're blocking off the views from everybody over here on this side behind you. So they're asking $520. We've seen this floor plan sell for $560 and $570 even in the last 60 days. It's really just a question of how it looks in person, because I think there's a lot of value in what they've done. And maybe I would replace the stove if the rest was working well. Now these homes, like the one here on Sellers Path, they're 3-story. They have a double garage in the back, and they don't have a backyard. So it's one of the cheapest ways to get a double car garage home in all of Milton. However, they're tricky to sell because they don't have the backyard. You know, you're like 2,200 square feet here. It's a good size double garage. If I said 2,200 square feet and a double garage, and that's all I told you, most people would say in Milton right now, that's about $700,000. And at $559,000, you are getting a pretty deep discount. So we could talk about the value of a yard being worth, in this example, probably $100,000 to $150,000. The other thing that's tricky is it's 3 stories, so you're getting a lot more stairs. The laundry's down below, and then you have, you know, if you're going up 1-2 levels to put your laundry away, 1-2 levels down, it can be a lot of stairs for some people. And that's what you get there, basically. That's your backyard, per se, is about maybe 200 to 250 square feet of deck space. Now, we'll let these guys off the hook on Robarts because their staging isn't particularly great, but the house price is amazing. 2,300 square feet, got a 100-foot deep lot, backing onto green space. You know, it's recoverable in the sense, like, I could paint these cabinets white. I could make it look amazing. I could put new floors in, and it would still probably, I could even reno this bathroom if I didn't like this black tile here. I could do a lot with this home, and I could see it being worth when I'm done, especially with the finished basement. If it's in decent shape, I could see this one, like the one on Bonin, for example, that's listed right now. They're taking offers tonight. They're listed for $699. They're probably going to sell in the mid-7s. This one could follow a very similar path. So depending on how much work it needs, some people, what they do is they say, hey, $659 is what they're asking, but the home needs $30,000 in work, so I'm going to offer them $630. It's not the way it works, because what actually happens is by doing the work, you're raising the value, oftentimes multiplying the money that you spend. So I look at this and say $750, it's going to take me $30,000 to fix it up. So if I get it for any less than $720, then I win. And I think that's the mindset to approach on something like this. They are holding back on offers. I think it's a great deal. It's all brick. The school district is amazing. Chris Hadfield, people who live in this area tend to want to stay in this area. They have a townhouse or a small single car garage, and they say, I only want to live here. Great access to the highways. You could walk to the GO station probably in about 15 minutes from this house. So there's a lot of things close by. Next up is Marshall, last one in the list. And so it's a corner. I like how they raised the photo up. It makes the home look pretty thin because it's a fisheye lens. But I like this floor plan. My neighbor across the street has this layout. I think the backsplash is one of the worst I've seen in a long time. Flooring has that kind of reddish tone, which is not a super booster. This is called a media room upstairs, and it's a great little spot. It's got the balcony outside. There was a home that to me showed way better 9-foot ceilings on the second floor, better finishes, just all around to me a better home, about 100 square feet smaller, actually a little bit less, like 60 square feet smaller, that just sold for $855. On this street, okay, so facing Louis St. Laurent, all the same stuff that this one has. I don't see how this one can beat that sale. I really don't. That other one even had a partly finished basement downstairs. So they're holding back on offers till the 20th here. Anything can happen in 2016, but I really don't see how this home is any better than the one that just sold. Here's that home tech center up here. If you look at the floor plan, it's called a Mannington Corner. And I like that it's kind of an area to hang out. It's a place where kids can do homework. If you have older kids, it's like, you know, you could have someone watching TV downstairs. You could have the kids up here playing video games. And it still kind of feels connected. I think a little bit more than a finished basement. So it's a nice floor plan. I like how the master has a little bit of separation from the other bedrooms too. I think that's a nice thing to have. The other thing that I look for personally, I think is a good idea is to have your living room and your dining room be separate. Some people like them together because you can do, a 10 or 12 person table. You could have a really long room there, but I like this to have this again, maybe as a kid's playroom. Home office is a very popular use. You've got really nice windows on this room here. Dining room, you don't use it much, right? So even if you had a 10 or 12 person table, how often do you use it? So this room tends to be adequate for most people. And then you've got a good flow between the kitchen and the family room. So I've always liked this floor plan. I thought it's a good one. I almost bought this floor plan before we decided on our layout, which is the same one as the one on Somerville. So there we go. That's the list for today. If you have any questions, let us know. And please sign up for the buyer class. You will absolutely love it. And there's no cost to attend. Bring a food bank donation. We'll give you cookies. We'll give you a book. We'll give you an actual book you can take home with all the best content from the class. And you'll get probably about 100 years of real estate, mortgage, lawyer experience, tens of thousands of clients that have gone through this process. You get all of that information right there in about 2 hours. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.